Dear people of Trinity Parish of Seattle, at 8th and James, my siblings in Christ, greetings in the name of the one holy and indivisible God. I give thanks for you every day and for the gift and privilege of proclaiming the good news of God's liberating and healing love with you. Welcome to the annual State of the Parish Address. Today, we are looking back at our life and ministry together in 2024, and at the end, we'll peek ahead a little into 2025. A year ago, in the State of the Parish Address, I introduced the metaphor of a road trip for our journey together in 2024. And what a journey it was. We prepared and planned, we rested and ran, we learned about ourselves and our Trinity community and about our neighbors. With Holy Wisdom as our companion, some things went as expected, and others presented opportunities for unanticipated learning and delights. My most revealing reflection on the past year, and perhaps not surprising to some of you, is how amazing our companions on this journey are. Every person in this room, in person and virtually, who worships and shares communion with us, who helps spontaneously or on a schedule, who attends an event here at Trinity or parks in the garage, neighbors who share our care for our neighborhood, everyone who touched our lives this year because and through Trinity. Amazing, gifted and beautiful, created in God's image, all of us striving to find and live healthy and whole lives. All of us perfectly imperfect and beloved of God. Now, as for that road trip, as anticipated, we ended where we began, right here in community at Trinity, praising God together in worship and through our community life. The same, but not. A year later, we find ourselves richer for the journey of our time together, learning and growing, being in community, engaging in the questions about who God calls us to be. Worship remains the heartbeat, the center of our life together. We gathered 99 times on Sundays last year to praise God, to pray for our world and one another, and to share in holy food around God's table. Our combined average weekly attendance of our two services was 65 people. And while that sounds like a modest number, it's notable in two ways. First, it is not the same 65 people every week. We have a much larger congregation who circulate through our pews. And while yes, some of you are here many or most weeks, there's another group that are here every few weeks. And there is no judgment in that. There is just love, because we love to see you and we know people's lives are busy. And the second way that that number is notable is that we welcome anywhere between 4 and 8 visitors a week, every week. Many Episcopal Church congregations hope to see that many visitors in a year. And it is part of the nature of our context that we are privileged to be a beacon of welcome and inclusion and hospitality every week. Trinity touches many, many lives, whether folks find a home here for a day or a lifetime. It is our common worship, our praise of God, that unites us, strengthens us, and nourishes us for faithfully living our daily lives, boldly humbly, and with courage. Weekly worship would not happen without many ministries that make it possible. Altar Guild and Floristas who quietly and prayerfully get everything ready and make the space beautiful and clean up after. All the Sunday morning ministries, ushers, greeters, readers, Eucharistic ministers, acolytes. Did I mention that we have 2 new acolytes this year? That's super exciting. Our live stream operator, Trinity Choir, our organist. Thank you to every one of you who offer your gifts to welcome, proclaim, lead, sing, play, and serve to the glory of God. Now, the curiosity of our road trip took us to learning more about how our lived faith, the stuff we do mostly outside this unique space, how our lived faith takes shape, all the ways that we engage and support one another and our neighbors. And we learned and connected through conversation with folks in our Trinity community and in the wider church, through adult formation, bookmarks, monthly book discussions, diocesan workshops and convention, walking in the Seattle Pride Parade, hosting Trinity living rooms and community lunches. And we continued learning and supporting our neighbors and ministry partners, participating in the First Hill Improvement Association, cleaning up trash through our Adopt a Street partnership, sharing space with Wheel's Low Barrier Women's Shelter, hosting monthly women's shelter roundtable meetings, and 3 weekly 12-step groups. One of our celebrations a year ago was the revitalization of Coffee Hour in 2023. Susan Secor guided that restart last year, and early this year handed off coordination to Heidi Ekman, and I want to thank both of them for their commitment to hospitality and welcome in the form of food and hot coffee every week. And to thank all of those who are Coffee Hour hosts and help with that ministry. You may recall that Walk in Love was the theme of our conversations about how we manage and care for all that God entrusts to us. As stewards of our personal time, skills, wisdom, and wealth, and as a community of faith, caring for the volunteers and staff, land, and money with which we are entrusted for the life and thriving of God's vision for Trinity now and into the future. Walking in love implies that we journey together with compassion and commitment to our companions on the way of Jesus. And we seek to be good stewards so that our gifts strengthen the work God is already doing in us and in the world. Huge thank you to everyone who has already made a pledge to support Trinity this year with your time, skills, wisdom, or money. As a largely volunteer operation, we cannot function without your generosity of time and financing. And again, thank you for sharing your blessings with Trinity. Trinity's finances continue on a similar trajectory to the congregation. Solid. We are here, and we are blessed by the forethought of many past parishioners whose gifts built an endowment that supplements the pledges and rental income that support our annual operating budget. A huge thank you to our Asset Management Committee, who meet quarterly with our financial advisors, to former Treasurer Chris Gruenfeld, who facilitated completion of our financial audits this year, to our Finance Chair, Jeff Mosley, and to Richard Green, who took a deep breath and stepped into the role of Treasurer this year. You all are amazing. And there's a lot more financial information in the annual meeting. Turning our attention to stewardship of our buildings and property brings us to the job of the junior warden. Betsy Sievertson took on the interim role of junior warden in January and capably continued through the whole year. She started by cataloging projects she could identify, and you know that with a church building that is 121 years old, a parish house that's nearly 100, and a rectory that's 120, and a duplex that's 70. There's a lot of projects. And once she had a handle on it, she focused in on the projects that extend the life of our buildings and improve safety and accessibility. Betsy also brought her natural energy and understanding of city processes to apply for and secure a $1.1 million grant from the city of Seattle to convert our percussive steam heat system to a greener, more efficient heat pump system. Thank you, Betsy. Now, we take care of our property. We are good stewards because it enables us to share our spaces with community organizations that make a difference in people's lives, sometimes a life-saving difference. The Wheel Shelter continues to provide a place for 28 women to live 24/7. And for the first 3 months of this year, they are adding an additional 12 emergency overnight beds in the duplex, bringing the total to 40 women who sleep here at Trinity, safe, warm, and dry every night. In addition to the shelter, rental groups, mostly music and theater, keep our spaces busy and bring light and life to our community. There are open days on the calendar if you know a nonprofit group who might be interested in space. Stewardship of our people is another important resource, and our vestry this year brought a diversity of perspectives, delight in working together, energetic and honest discussion, and a mix of humor and appreciation. I am so grateful for their time and passions, discerning and leading Trinity's way towards God's kingdoms. Senior Warden Mary Johnstone has held vestry leadership with a steady and encouraging vision for our life together. And I am excited to tell you that our executive committee, our wardens, and our treasurer have all agreed to a second year in those roles, which is amazing stability and an amazing gift of their time and talents. Elections to join the vestry, this fabulous group of leaders, follow at the annual meeting. And the vestry especially needs a clerk, which is not an elected position. If you are curious about whether your particular interests and skills are needed, and they just might be, you could see Hillary or me. And I would be remiss if I did not mention our amazing staff here at Trinity. We had a few transitions this year. In February, after serving in an interim role for 6 months, we hired David Lepsey to be our sexton, and he has stepped into that beautifully. Deacon Lisa Gromlich retired from her secular job and relocated in May, followed by Sister Joe's retirement from the organ bench in June, and we miss them. In July, Mark Davin became the director of music, and Ruth, who sings in our choir, became our rental coordinator. After 5 months of subs, James joined us in the beginning of December as our organist. And our section leaders, Margaret, Sarah, Ruth, Robin, and Orrin, bring delight to our ears every Sunday as cantors and leaders in our Trinity choir, which continues to grow and sings Compline on the most months on the first Thursday. And finally, and not least, Christy continues to be the Wonder Woman of parish administrators. And I'm going to tell you, after everything that we worked on this last week, that's double Wonder Woman. She is invaluable in her skills and wisdom and grace. I am so grateful to every one of our staff members for their passion, wisdom, and skills. We could not do what we do without them. I'm coming to the end. Our road trip was all about learning about ourselves and our neighbors and understanding how we interconnect and the values we share about being community here in this unique neighborhood that we share. Now, we didn't accomplish everything that we had hoped in 2024, which I find to be a good reminder, a humbling reminder, that God's time and God's agenda are not measured by appointments or lists or spreadsheets. God's time is measured by relationships, people heard and helped, genuine, welcoming smiles for people of all kinds and walks of life, food and visits, conversations, caring for creation, and occasional discomforts when we find our sense of privilege challenged or our sense of control. Our road trip was about noticing all of these things and faithfully asking where God is calling us next. And we continue that discernment. Thank you, every one of you, for being part of Trinity's life and thriving this year. You are beautiful and amazing. Please forgive any oversight if I forgot to mention or thank someone. So much more happened in 2024, and you will find more information and details in our annual report, which is published online and also available in print at lunch and the annual meeting. As we look into 2025, we can anticipate that our communal life will continue to learn and grow and thrive. I came up with 3 things that we can anticipate, and I'm sure there are more. The first is worship. To continue to gather here, to welcome all people, to engage our senses, our bodies, our minds, and spirits, to help us connect how we live our everyday lives with our faith. The second is a strengthening of our sense of community, our human connections with one another and with our neighbors, our understanding of the difference we can and do make in one another's lives. And the third is, as I said, we are a primarily volunteer organization and looking at how we develop and support ministries and leadership. I do hope that you will join me at the annual meeting after the service. We will break bread together over lunch, and the vestry and congregational leaders will share their celebrations of 2024 and excitement for 2025. In addition, we will be awarding the Mark Graglia Parishioner of the Year Award. I invite you to be thinking about where you witnessed the love of God thriving in and through Trinity's ministries this past year. My friends and siblings, God continues working a new thing in our Trinity community and in the world. In 2025, we will continue praying, listening, and discussing how God calls us to live with boldness, humility, and courage. This comes with my love and prayers. Sabeth.